Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In today's session, we will be looking at food and fasting. We have come a long way in this journey of understanding ahimsa, simplicity, gratitude, desires, indriya niyamanam, satyam, and shaucha. Now we need to see how everything integrates with food and the practice of fasting. Limiting the intake of our food is called Ashana Niyamanam. In the present world, a lot of movements are happening around food. There is focus on eating organic food, sattvic food, there is focus on practices like intermittent fasting, etc. None of the modern practices around food will be holistic and meaningful without the various aspects of dharma we have discovered so far. Food is deeply related to our life force, and it is through this life force that we advance towards our spiritual progress. This link between food and our spiritual progress must be made, and then the content of this video will be like answers to a fill in the blanks question. The ancients have said that the prana shakti in humans rested in various things across the yugas. For example, in Satyuga, the prana shakti was in the bones of humans. Humans had bones like diamonds, and their prana shakti resided there within them. In the Kali Yuga, the prana is obtained through anna or food, and only by consuming anna we get prana. So, how should we consume anna such that our prana is strengthened? Eating more food, more rich food, does not mean more prana. Prana is subtle energy that is transferred to us from another life form, and the transfer is successful only when the giver and receiver are deeply connected. Pouring excess will only lead to wastage, and faulty medium of transfer, process of eating, will also result in weaker prana. अष्टौ ग्रासा मुनेर्भक्ष्याः षोडशारण्यवासिनः द्वात्रिंशत्तु गृहस्थस्य ह्यमितं brahmachariणः. It is said that a muni, a sannyasi, should limit his food to 8 mouthful. 16 mouthful of food is advised for the vanaprasthis, those who have retired from samsara, and 32 for the grahasthas, and a brahmachari can eat as he pleases. The brahmacharya ashrama was usually composed of children and youth below the age of 25 years in olden times. Children have nutritional needs, and hard work in the Gurukul also needed energy. Perhaps this is the reason why it is said that brahmachari can eat how much ever he wants. This is not a yes to overeating and indulgence, but only a provision to accommodate their needs. Many scientific concepts about food are also mentioned in the scriptures. Today we know from various sources how eating a full stomach is not a very good thing. It taxes the system to a large extent. Jatharam purayedardham annairardham jalena cha vayoh sancharanarthaya chaturtham avasheshayet. Eat only half your capacity. Fill only half the stomach with food. The remaining half must be looked as 2 parts. One of it must be filled with water, and the other 1/4 must be empty for the vital air to circulate. पूजितं ह्यशनं नित्यं बलमूर्जं च यच्छति अपूजितं तु तद्भुक्तं उभयं नाशयेदिदम्. Food must be consumed with reverence and respect. It must be eaten with gratitude. Food that is eaten in a calm and worshipful manner provides strength and sattva. Food eaten in neglect and negativity destroys the strength and sattva. The first contact of food with our body is when we put it in our mouth with our hands. When we eat with our hands, the foot and hands come in contact with saliva in the mouth. In Sanskrit, there is a term called uchhishta. It refers to a certain contamination that happens through saliva. A person is in Uchishta Avastha when he is in contact with Uchishta food. The eater is purified after he washes his hands and mouth, and the utensils are purified after they are cleaned. Nochishtam kasyachid dadyan nadya chaiva tathantara nachaivatyashanam kuryan nachochishtaha kvachid vrajet. Uchishta anna should not be given to anybody. Perhaps this is said to avoid any cross contamination of bacteria and viruses or subtle energies that get transmitted through saliva. One must not eat between two meals and one must not overeat. One must also not travel anywhere in Uchishta Avastha, that is, without washing your hands and mouth and cleaning your plate and utensils after consuming food. Anarogyam anayushyam asvargyam chati bhojanam apunyam lokavidvishtam tasmat tat parivarjayet. Overeating destroys arogya and ayushya. It negatively affects health and longevity. When health is gone, certainly happiness is gone too. It results in punyakshaya, the loss of dhanatmaka shakti. Overeater becomes a laughing stock for others. Thus, overeating must be avoided. Panchardro bhojanam bhujyat prangmukho maunamastitaha. One must eat food after washing hands, feet, and mouth or face. One must face eastward while eating. Food must be eaten using our all 5 fingers, and it must be eaten silently in mauna. Food too is categorized into sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic in nature. The following 3 verses describe the 3 types of food from the Bhagavad Gita. We won't be getting into the details of what is sattva, rajas and tamas in this video, but for those who are absolutely unaware of the terms, here is a brief introduction. To know sattva, rajas and tamas, first we need to know the word guna. Guna is generally called quality or attribute, but here guna means a original subtle material that was formed during creation. This material weaves the rest of the reality, like the threads weave the cloth. The innate nature of everything in the universe is composed of 3 such threads, the sattva, rajas and tamas. Sattvika guna is one driven by what is pure, true, compassionate, positive and good. Tamasika guna is one which is driven by what is impure, dark, destructive. It is aimed at hurting another, it is negative and vicious. Rajasika guna is egocentric. It is ego driven out of personal passions, activities, and it often seeks the approval of others. I am referring to these attributes only for you to relate to the 3 gunas. Do not build this as the model of understanding the 3. These are very subtle things that manifested in the very early stages of creation. Hence, it requires deep insight to gain an understanding about it. Yet, its working model can be understood through these attributes. आयुस्सत्त्वबलारोग्य सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः रस्याः स्निग्धाः स्थिरा हृद्या आहाराः सात्विकप्रियाः. Food that is tasty, light and stays longer without getting spoiled, provides longevity, intelligence, health, satisfaction, is pleasing for sattvika people. Katvamla lavanatyushnatikshna ruksha vidahinah ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya pradaha. Food that is excessively bitter, sour, salty, very hot and spicy, fried, that which causes burning, produces dukkha and chinta and roga, is food that is generally liked by rajasic people. Yatayamam gatarasam putiparyushitam chayat uchhishtam chamedyam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Stale, strong and pungent odor, uchhishta, uncooked food, impure food is preferred by tamasic people. After knowing about the three types of food, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic bhojan, please do make a wise choice in your eating habit and resort to eating more and more of sattvic food in limited quantity so that you can power up your spiritual practices. Now, moving to the concept of fasting. Fasting has been prescribed in almost every civilization as a purging and purification process. Fasting with an intent of purifying the self or as a penance becomes a ritual, a spiritual practice. This spiritual practice of fasting is called upavasa. Ekabhuktopavasaistu dharayante vratam naraha labhante vipulam dharmam tatha ahara parikshayat. To be rid of sharirika doshas, diseases in the body, and for the purpose of indriya nigraha, we must eat one full meal and fast 2 times in a day. This generates great dharma. If sustaining on only one full meal is difficult, then this verse can be understood as a pointer to limiting your intake in the other 2 meals. Eat something light, simple and easy to digest. Bahunam uparodham tu na kuryad atmakaranat जीवोपघातं च तथा sajivan dhanya ishyate. Blessed are those who do not harm any living thing. Thus, those who limit their food to something very simple and eat in moderation surely gain great merit. Upavasa is not to torment the physical body. It is a method to gain awareness and balance. It is a spiritual practice. Digestive fire and spiritual fire are inversely proportional. Lowering the digestive fire will increase the spiritual fire. That is why Upavasa is considered a great tapasya. When fasting is done as a commitment, as a mental discipline, it becomes a vrata. Upavasa vrata. Traditionally, Upavasa is practiced on certain days like Ekadashi, the 11th day of the waxing and waning cycle of the moon. The degree and type of fasting is based on the individual's capacity. Few are naturally capable of going without food. Few can train themselves to sustain for a day on water. Few can manage with one meal or with fruits, etc. The idea is to gather spiritual energy. Fasting cleanses the physical vessel we live in and also becomes a great tool for Indriya Nigraha. Bhagavan Krishna tells in the Gita, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha. The objects of senses turn away from a fasting man. The prana is very alert in a fasting man and it finds other ways to strengthen itself as food is not an option. Fasting combined with any spiritual practice like chanting, meditation, kirtan or simply silence amplifies the spiritual energy by 100-fold. Again, the word fasting does not completely convey the meaning of upavasa. Upavasa is split as upa and vasa. Upa meaning samipya, closeness, and vasa is to reside. So Upavasa means residing in the proximity of the divine, residing in grace, under the sheath of God's love. Upasamipe yo vaso jivatma paramatma yoho upavasah saha vigneyo natukayasya shoshanam. The closeness of the jiva to the Paramatma is upavasa, not just physically tormenting the body with hunger. Upavasa can be performed as a prayashchitta too. Prayashchitta means atonement, penance. It is about being simply truthful to oneself and becoming aware of our shortcomings, misdeeds, and taking a notice of the bag of karmas we carry from our many pasts. Intent of prayashchitta is not to make a person feel guilty, but to free them from any guilt they suffer. Prayashchitta is also not a quick fix to making mistakes. You make a mistake and then perform prayashchitta, then again you repeat the mistake or make new ones, assuming prayashchitta will come to your rescue. It does not work like that. Prayashchitta is a process of transforming for good. There is no going back in it. प्रायो नाम तपः प्रोक्तं चित्तं निश्चय उच्यते तपो निश्चय संयुक्तं प्रायश्चित्तमिहोच्यते. Prayah means tapa. Tapa is fire itself, and we know fire transforms and purifies. And chitta means nishchaya, determination. This way, the coming together of tapasya and determination is prayashchitta. अत्युत्कटैः पुण्यपापैः इहैव फलमश्नुते त्रिभिर्वर्षैः त्रिभिर्मासैः त्रिभिः पक्षैः त्रिभिर्दिनैः. The fruits of papa and punya karmas performed in this world are probably reaped in this world itself. Depending on the intensity of the deeds, the results might show up in 3 years, 3 months, 3 fortnights, or 3 days itself. The maths involved in figuring out which karmic fruit ripens when is very complex. This shloka is only loudly pronouncing the certainty of it. प्रायश्चित्तमकुर्वाणाः पापेषु निरता नराः अपश्चात्तापिनः कष्टान् नरकान्यान्ति दारुणाम्. Those who are constantly on the destructive path and have no slightest remorse or repentance for their misdeeds are sure to fall into hells. Akurvan vihitam karma ninditam cha samacharan prasaktaschendriyartheshu prayaschittiyate naraha. All those who are on the adharmic path and are engaged in papa karmas someday or other must perform prayashchitta to move ahead in their paths. Without purifying the chitta, there is no spiritual progress. यथा यथा नरः अधर्मं स्वयं कृत्वानुभाषते तथा तथा त्वचेवाहिस्तेनाधर्मेण मुच्यते. यथा यथा मनस्तस्य दुष्कृतं कर्म गर्हते तथा तथा शरीरं तत्तेनाधर्मेण मुच्यते. One must self-introspect and begin to accept misdeeds done. When this acceptance comes, there is repentance, and this repentance itself is a deep purification. One gets rid of Dhanatmaka Shakti just like how a snake casts off its old skin. Just as the true mind criticizes the misdeeds and there is repentance, there is every chance that we get into the cycle of guilt and self-criticism. To avoid this situation, corrective actions in the form of prayashchitta is prescribed by the scriptures so that a person can transform through errors and follies. Prayashchitta builds an awareness that mistakes are hard stains on the chitta and are not easy to wash, so it is better to prevent than to be sorry later. द्विधा तु क्रियते पापं सद्भिश्चासद्भिरेव च अभिसन्धाय वा नित्यं अन्यथा वा यदृच्छया. All of us are bound to make mistakes based on our karmic nature. Some happen with our knowledge and some happen unknowingly. केवलं चाभिसन्धाय संरम्भाच्च करोति यत् कर्मणस्तस्य नाशस्तु न कथंचन विद्यते. When sinful acts are committed deliberately with ego and pride, the papa it produces cannot be destroyed. Such papa will produce unpleasant consequences that must be faced over time. In such cases, even prayashchitta is of no use. Having said this, the scriptures at many places also add a gentle note that even the grossest sin can be washed if the soul yearns for purity and divinity. Prayashchitta thus can be fueled only by the pure intent to cleanse and by surrendering to a higher force to do the cleaning. Shastras prescribe many kinds of prayashchittas. Upavasa Vrata is one of the powerful prayashchittas prescribed in the scriptures. Many vratas like Prajapatya Kruchra, Atikruchra, and Chandrayana fall in this category. त्रयहं प्रातस्त्रयहं सायं त्रयहमद्यादयाचितं त्रयहं परं च नाश्नीयात् प्राजापत्यं चरन् द्विजः. This shloka describes how Prajapatya Kruchra is performed. The first 3 days of the vrata, the person performing it will eat only one meal in the morning. The next 3 days he will eat only one meal in the evening. The coming 3 days he must eat whatever is offered to him without requesting for food, without asking for food. And the last 3 days he will fast completely. So in a total of 12 days, this Prajapatya Kruchra Vrata is done. Even the very embodiment of purity, the sages of the past have done these vratas to be rid of their reminiscent papas, so that not a speck of impurity resides in them as they near the ever pure Brahman. Here is another very intense version of the Kruchra called the Atikruchra. Ekaikam grasam ashniyat trayahani trini purvavat त्रयहं चोपवसेदन्त्यम् अतिकृच्छ्रं चरन् द्विजः. In this vrata, the person eats only one mouthful of food for the first 3 days in the morning, and then one mouthful each day in the evening for the coming 3 days. Then for the next 3 days, only a mouthful of whatever is obtained without asking, and finally 3 days of total fasting. This is Atikruchra Vrata. Another example is that of Chandrayana Vrata. Ekaikam hrasayet pindam krishne shukle cha vardhayet upasprusham strishavanametat chandrayanam smritam. This vrata is synchronized with the moon cycle. The performer of this vrata eats 15 mouthfuls on the full moon day. Then he begins to reduce the amount of food, minus one mouthful every day along with the waning moon. And finally eat only a mouthful the day before new moon. Completely fasts on the new moon day and then begins to increase the food with the waxing moon one mouthful each day plus one, and eats 15 mouthful on the full moon day. This is called Chandrayana Vrata. These are examples of very tough Upavasa Vratas that are described in the scriptures. Yetad Rudras Tathaditya Vasavaschacharan Vratam Sarva Kushala Mokshaya Marutascha Maharshibhihi. In the olden times, such vratas were performed by Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, Marudganas and Maharishis for Papa Nivarana. Great sages performed these vratas not to only purify themselves but also for the greater good of all mankind. Mantra japa is also a powerful method for papakshaya. Savitrim cha japen nityam pavitrani cha shaktitah sarveshveva vrateshvevam prayashchittartha madrutah. With an intent and commitment to perform prayashchitta, when a mantra japa is performed based on one's capacity with total devotion and surrender, it brings great benefit. Gayatri mantra and other pavana mantras, other pure mantras can be used for this purpose. Gnanamutpadyate pumsam kshayat papasya karmanah yatha adarshatale prakhye pasyatyatmanam atmana. Only after the paparashi fades out, it is eradicated, Atmagnana flares up. Just as we can see our reflection clearly only in a clean mirror, only in a pure antahakarana, the sakshatkara of Atma Tattva happens. True realization occurs in a pure heart. Mohadadharmam yakrutva punaha samanutapyate manas samadhi sanyukto nasa seveta dushkrutam. A person who becomes aware of the wrongs done by his ignorance and repents for it, wants to atone for it, must gain control over his mind and should never again commit those acts. Like I said before, Prayashchitta is not a quick fix to making mistakes or an eraser that gives confidence to make mistakes. It must be viewed in the light of compassion in the process of transformation, in the light of love for purity and divinity that we commit to stay clean in our systems. And if at all there is any lapse and impurities enter our system, through Prayashchitta we surrender to be cleansed. So, in this session, we have seen how the concept of ahimsa and indriya nigraha is integrated with controlling our food intake, how shaucha is weaved with the practice of eating food. We have seen that though prana comes from anna, it is strengthened through tapasya, and how upavasa becomes a vrata and can become a part of prayashchitta, a method to cleanse the impurities in our system, and how the sages of the past have practiced intense upavasa vratas to cleanse themselves and also for the benefit of mankind. Finally, नास्ति वेदात् परं शास्त्रं नास्ति मात्र समो गुरुः न धर्मात् परमो लाभः तपोनानशनात् परम्. There is no shastram greater than the Vedas. There is no guru higher than the mother. And there is nothing more beneficial to mankind than dharma, and there isn't a higher penance than fasting or upavasa. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.